Hey everyone, Anthony here, welcome for another video. Today I will talk about a computer that I want to upgrade to its maximum capacities. That's why this episode is called Upgrade This PC. But the first question we'll ask is, where's the PC? That's a good answer. I probably forgot to just get it for the introduction. So, don't move. I will go take it. I finally got it. Ooh. And this is this small boy, this small bad boy, a Dell Optiplex 760 small form factor. If you want to have specs, I will just introduce that apart. Now that every specs are introduced, let's talk about upgrade. I just take it now. Here's all the upgrade. Hopla! As you see at first, I'm just putting RAMs, hard disk drive, CPU, a CMOS battery because the original is dead, so also it will be a reconditioning up, and a graphics card. This one maybe you can read it from here, yeah, 1030 if you don't read it. I will make some explanation why all this component. Let's get a look. So as I mentioned, this computer has a dual core CPU, a Core 2 Duo E7500, which is probably not the best experience for Boost This PC for today's standards. The dual core is not really enough. So the first upgrade is the CPU. I choose a Q6600. I've got a good reason to choose that one. I will talk a bit later why, because some of you will say a Q6600, it's not the best you can have. You can have a Q9000 series. Yes, of course, you're right. But some people like Linus Tech Tips, if you watch it, want to upgrade their $69 computer with a QX9650, if I don't make any mistake, and it simply doesn't work, a 3 GHz quad-core. This one is a 2.4 GHz, but with some modification can run in 3 GHz, and that's pretty cool. The second upgrade will be the RAM. Since we are at 2 gigs of RAMs, it's not a problem for Windows Vista, or not too much I want to say, and no problem at all for Windows XP for people who they downgrade the operating system. It's clearly not enough when I will upgrade it to Windows 10, and for today's standards, a minimum of 8 gigs is very fine. 8 gigs DDR2, wonderful. Having 8 gigs DDR2 at this time was really expensive, really uncommon, I want to say, and it was totally stupid, except maybe if you are the beginners with virtualization, but even with that, it's complicated. Buying 8 gigs wasn't the standard at this time. The CMOS battery is to replace it because the original one is dead. From the 80 gigs drive, I will put 1 terabyte. This is a 1 terabyte from 2009. That's somewhere interesting because with that drive, it matched more or less the date of the computer, because it was made in 2008, if I didn't make any mistake. So it's somewhere fun, I want to say. And to store all data today, not Windows. Windows can stay on an 80 gigs drive, but to put all the games I will put on it, 1 terabyte, it will be fine. If it's not enough, maybe I can check for 2 terabyte, but probably not important. And for the graphics card, the 1030. At the stock, I was searching for a 730 because it's it consumes less power, 25 watts only. This one is 30. Normally, this machine has the PCI Express line to 25 watt maximum, but when I watched this one, it wasn't mentioned. So probably I can take and put more. That's the advantage. And the 730 is, I want to say, unfoundable compared to the 1030. I got it really lately, this one, so I must buy it lately, of course, too. And then the 730 didn't exist anymore in new piece. Oh, I need to check for occasion, but I don't want to. I've talked about all these upgrades, so it's time to buy it. First of all, I will just clean it up because it's a bit dusty, and it's the occasion because I will unmount almost everything. So to be sure that everything is clean, everything is in place, and have a very wonderful Optiplex 7060. I really want to have this machine, the best Optiplex 760 small form factor in the world, because probably it will be the case. If it's not, yeah, I take this apart. Some will say, oh, but you can put an SSD, you will increase in performance. You can put a 2 terabyte instead of 1, as I mentioned, if it's not enough 1 terabyte. Yes, you're right, but I think it's garbage. It's a waste of money. It's really a garbage. It could be a very powerful, maybe the best Optiplex 760 without having a waste of money, because it's not necessary. I think already the graphics card somewhere is a waste of money because it's too new for the computer. But anyway, it's a low profile one. It will be easy to fit in it, and it's fine. Let's go.
And while I'm unmounting, cleaning and upgrading this build, of course, you can hit the like button if you like this content, hit the bell for notification of the new video, and of course, subscribe to the channel. As you see, that's not that dirty, but a serious cleaning is anyway required.
So guys, finally, the build is complete and closed. So it's ready to turn it up. I know you probably want to see it immediately. For you, good news, it will be the case. But unfortunately for me, I just can't. The output for the 1030 was only DisplayPort and HDMI. So the only screen I can use for that is this one. And unfortunately, I must do things with my main computer today and the few next days. So I will just won't turn it on now with the graphics card. And unfortunately, I can't test the game immediately. So for me, it's a bit, it's not cool. It's not cool. Yeah. So for you, in few seconds, you will start to see the first impression, the first game running on the machine, and how well it is. For me, it will be in next days, and it will be a very big and very nice surprise, to be sure. Then, okay, we are finally some days later, and it's there, it's installed, and as you see, it fit just perfectly on the size of the wood. That's genius. That's genius. And then, are you ready for the first startup of the machine? If it works, I need to install Windows 10. Of course, we'll not see that, but I will install Windows 10 on it to be sure that it's ready to rock and roll. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Lights turn to green. It seems to run okay. It's genius. We'll quickly go to the BIOS. The only thing I've already done before the unmounting of the system, or while I just put some part, is upgrading the BIOS. So that's why it's the last version. That's the only thing I've done, but I didn't start it with the complete reconfiguration. It's so cool, it works. And everything seems to work just fine. So we can read it from there. No, maybe not. So we have our 8 gigs of RAM in DDR2. 8 gig of RAM DDR2, that's amazingly high. In DDR3 and DDR4 it's nothing, but in DDR2 it's amazingly high. The processor, the Core 2 Quad, seems to work just fine, but there were some tweaks about, there were some tweaks about the Q6600 that I will show you just after. It's a quad core, of course. Yeah, the mouse work. I didn't work really well. Fine, I will stay with the keyboard. The time is correct. Yeah, did he see my drive? It seems to be yes. Western Digital 1 terabyte, yes. Very fine. Then I just need to install Windows 10 and come after. Up. It will be a USB installation, so normally even on a computer like this with only USB 2, it must be faster than a CD. So it mustn't take too much time. Okay, fine. Windows 10 is installed on the machine, but as you can see, it's extremely loud. It's normal. I put the fan overdrive option, so the fan is running at full speed. Remember why I'm doing that? It's because I didn't install any TIM on it. So without TIM, it ran a bit hot and the fan didn't speed up. So to be sure it stay at least at its max speed, I put the fan overdrive on. I will start first with the stress test and Cinebench to be sure that everything is okay, because after I want to show you the overclock procedure with a specific modification. So first, it's on the external drive. It's extremely noisy. Extremely. With a good helmet like mine, it might not be a problem while gaming, especially if I put the volume especially high. We'll see, maybe I'm wrong, but if I can, I will remove the WWII fan speed. Okay, so I will do it the R15 and the R20 and see what's happened. Okay, fine. It's finished its first test with a score of 194. I don't know if the processor is still at its full speed. I didn't watch it. I will run it several times and come just after. Okay, it seems that yes, but to be sure I will keep an eye on it. Just to be sure. And I will run the test 2 or 3 times to have a final result. Okay, 231. That's the result I expected for this CPU. I finally add thermal paste on it because I was checking to be sure with the 194 points. For me it was a bit too few. And I was right to make the check. I see that the processor was thermal throttling, so that's why I decided to add the thermal paste. Well, I was ready to add it after, of course. I will not leave the computer without it. But because I will reopen it to show you the OC, well, I was ready to bypass this for the time of the test and the bench, but it wasn't fine. So thermal paste is necessary for this CPU. The computer is small dots. It's normal somewhere. It's normal. So after 3 tests, I've got the result of 231, an expected result. I can't imagine what it will be with an overclocked one. But first, before overclock, I run the A15. It's time now, I want to save, yes. It's time now to the A20. I want the 2 result, because it's funny. So, we will make this check and I get you at the end of the result. Almost done for the second time. The good thing that it didn't thermal throttling at all anymore. It was up to 100 degrees Celsius. Now it's maximum 57, 58. So it's a good result. We will see the score. Let's stay at full speed. Alright. 467 points. Ah. It's better than the first result, I think. I don't remember. But well, it's not especially high. It's normal. It's a high, a older CPU. The R20 version is probably not really the best for this computer. But fine. Everything back to normal. It keeps cool, extremely clickable. Of course, the fan speed is running at max speed, so it helps. That's why also it stays below 60 degrees. But 60 degrees, it's not much at all. So stay below this line. It is not bad. It is not bad. I'm really curious when I will probably after put the fan in a normal state mode. Alright, it's time for the show of the overclock. Maybe some of you have an idea of what I will do. So, turning off the computer and show you that. Okay, so I will do my best for recording this part. So I keep the processor in there, but I can take it for this part. Fine, okay. Well, I will keep it, just careful. So, overclocking the CPU. Every CPU for the parts has what we call a front side bus. It can be, of course, variable in terms of which CPU you install. For example, a Pentium 3 is in general 133 and the Celeron on the same socket was 100. It's an example and it's very generic.
On this 775 CPU, there were several speed. There were 200 MHz, 266, 333, and 400, but 400 is less common. This Q60C100 run at a FSB of 266 MHz with a multiplier of 9 to get the stock speed of 2.4 GHz. But there were somewhere a way for the computer to know which front side bits it must select. And on the 775 series, it's... I will not touch it, keep cool guys. It's on these two pins here, the two last on the bottom right. For the upper part of the bottom right. Fine. That's the yeah, we will take the word flag for make things easy. That's what we call the BSEL flag. And what we will do to make an overclock is what we call a BSEL mod. This is the simplest BSEL mod we can do, getting from 266 to 33 MHz. There were several possibilities that I don't really know and I don't really care, and it works on a very few series of processors. But the Q6600 can have an FSB of 333 and be stable. Normally, maybe I will be unlucky and this one won't be, but lots of people having a Q166 series, 66 processor, works. It works. So if I'm not unlucky, and with the thermal paste it seems to run pretty cool with the CPU at full speed, the fan at full speed, okay, but it runs pretty cool because it was below 60, so it's fine. There is no especially big risk. I don't remember which one is in 1 and 0, but we will have a sheet maybe in this part of the size. But the objective to getting the 333 MHz is this one, the lower one, just be covered. You can use tape for that. It's fine if you have nothing else. Otherwise, find something that it just fit to cover the pin. The objective is to cover the pin. Electricity pass on this pin. If you block that, value will be different, and the computer will think that you have a 333 MHz FSB. If you multiply it by 9, this one can run at 3 GHz. An amazing core to quad at 4 cores at 3 GHz. It's pretty cool, isn't it? So that's what I will do just now. I will put the things there again. I will try my best to record that. I need a cutter first, but I don't know where I put it. Alright, I get a scissors, so first I will take it. So you take just a small part, is fine. I have a big scissor. Shit. Okay, it's already too big, I can tell you, but fine. We don't care. Up. So you take it. And you apply it. Right, it's too big. Oh god. Okay. Up. Leave me alone. And try it. Just because it's the last pin, it might not be a big problem. Oh, it's still too big. I will keep the other face. Okay. Get a bit more. All right. I rarely doing this, so oh no, it's too much. It's too much. Alright, it seems to be okay. So I plan it like this, up, fine. We can't really make a mistake. If a pin is covered, electricity just simply don't pass, and if it's not normal for the computer, it will just didn't boot at all. So there is no big risk, no big deal. Well, it seems that it's not perfectly in place, but pin is covered. Yeah. Quite much again. Alright, like this, it's fine. Pin is covered, and now you can have an FSB of 333. I will put it on the computer. Trying to boot. Normally it will boot if it's stable. If it won't boot, that will be called that it simply didn't work. But the computer, yeah, I didn't say it. Be sure first that your computer is compatible with a 333 MHz FSB. Otherwise, even if your CPU is stable at this speed, your computer will not work at all. CPU is back. When I put the power back with in the plunger, it seems to be fine. It turn on and turn off like every Dell while it receives power. So let's try it. If the light is green, it's okay. Oh, I will put first back the keyboard and mouse. Hoopla. Do it carefully. Up, here we go. It turned green. Fan speed is higher, but something happened, and here we go. So let's see first, of course, if everything is fine. I go into the BIOS. Ah, shit! I forgot to put back the things. Ah, unfortunately, it seems that it didn't work. Maybe I've made a mistake. But I'm surprised that it booted then. It seems that I cover another flag. Or maybe the things has moved and so contact is done again. If it's the case, it's a bad thing. I don't think about the memory of the CPU and the CPU support on the machine. Normally, if it's CFSB 333 MHz, it will run at 333 MHz, and you will see processor bus speed at 1333 MHz. It's always 4 times more than the FSB. I will make a check about that and come later. It seems that Dell made a mistake in his BIOS, in fact, so my overclock seems to work just fine. It still say 2.4 GHz in the BIOS, but if you can see it here, it's my Q6600 and CPU-Z is reading the real-time clock, and my FSB is at, well, with the error marge of course, but it's at 333 MHz. So if we are reading this will say that the CPU is clearly overclocked. So it seems that it works. Fine. To be sure that it's stable, I will run just after the Cinebench test. We will start with the Cinebench test first at 3 GHz. Okay, I'm coming back. Yeah, the wallpaper is changing every time. For like my gaming rig. The R15 first to be sure. Then, well, what we will say on the spot. I will take this back, up, like it didn't move. Okay. Yes, Cinebench say the same as CPU-Z. 4 core, 4 threads, 3 GHz. So the overclock work. But let's go. Let's try it. We'll come after the result. Let's start. Yes, it's start. We will see if it's stable or not and come after the result. Okay, we are coming to the end of this second test, so I've got a good first result. 281! Oh! Oh, cool! Cool. 10 more points almost than the previous score. Ah! So it's precisely 50 points better than the stock speed. Hey! For 25% improvement, yeah, we are more or less in the same state. Where, yeah, maybe a service is running in background to make the difference. But yes! So, it worked! Oh, that's funny, that's really cool. I really pushed the computer at its limit in terms of CPU. You can have more, you can have better. The QX 9650 didn't work on this machine because it's a very big gamer processor in a business tower, and sometimes it didn't work. And on this Dell, I know it won't work. But the Q6600 overclock and 3 GHz, yes, approved. The R20 bench now. Come on. Oh my f***ing god! 600 points! And that's only the first run. I was expecting giving a bit more than 500 points and will be amazed, but 600! Wow. Just wow. Fine. Ready for the second test. We'll see if we can have more or less. Amazing. Okay, I'm a bit excited. Maybe the result will be worse, but I'm excited. Oh, come on. Okay, the CPU fan is still running at full speed, but we don't care. Okay, it helped, I agree with that. But it's just for the score. And maybe at normal speed it will be fine now. So, what's the result? Better or worst? Ah, it's worst. Ah, unfortunately, maybe it's just a quite bit harder. But it reached anyway the 600 points. So, it's clear that the results are extremely good. It's even better, once overclocked, it's even better than a Hi-Fi 5300U CPU. Okay, it's a mobile one, but just to say, stock, it's powerless, overclocked, it's powerful. Amazing. It's amazing. So okay, we are done with the Super Cinebench score, which was extremely amazing in terms of scoring once overclocked. So this is a really impressive machine so far. So now it will time for games. Of course, I overclocked it. There is no comparison with stock and overclocked performance. I don't care about that. The objective is just to see how well it performed. We see by the bench that it was clearly better, more or less 20 to 25%. So it's fine. We have our result about that. So the objective is to have now the result in game. This is what we will see. That's time for game.
So we are starting with Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, because the game is a bit older. We will get to an old from old to new. It's maybe easier to understand and see how it performs. Now the machine was upgraded. Well, of course, Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl 2 years before the time of the machine ran absolutely fine with an average of 70 FPS at max settings, which was perfectly fine. I will let you enjoy a bit the game.
Mets-le en sourdine, ou je te casse la gueule.
For Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the original game, we are more or less of the era of the machine, so it couldn't run as bad, of course. And yes, at 144p at max settings, an average of 64 FPS, which is perfectly fine.
Сколько времени тебе нужно?
So we've got company. Helicopter troops closing in fast.
We should just beat it out of him, sir. Not yet.
Enemy Territory Quake was again a game from the era of the machine, also at 1440p max settings, an average of 57 FPS. We can say that the game is running just fine. This is a bit unfortunate that the game has been forgotten, because it's still a very good game and very fun to play. This machine is perfectly capable to run this game. If you want to run some LANs with it, it could be extremely funny if you can.
On construit le pont. Philippe, la première phase d'assemblage du pont est terminée.
Wolfenstein 2009, another ID Software game, by the way, worked just as good as you can see. 50 FPS of average, so yeah, you are not reaching a constant 60, it's just depending on how much it must put in the screen. If you have a lots of enemies and a lots of worlds, etc., this is not the best engine ever made by ID Software, but it's still fine, and yeah, with the 1030 it's running pretty nice and perfectly playable. Still a very fun game to play.
Bien joué, Blazkowicz! Tirez! À terre! À couvert! Continuez! Vous arrêtez pas! À gauche, je veux un tir de suppression!
Now time for Rage, again max setting 1440p, an average of 46 FPS. Well, this game has run on the newest engine compared to Wolfenstein 2009, which it was used high compressed texture, extremely high compressed texture. This doesn't care about the 1030, which is absolutely capable to run these things, and that's why the game is perfectly playable. Again, a game very fun to play. This machine is perfectly capable and it's extremely funny.
Ici!
Viens!
WRC3, okay, that's a racing game. I can go up more than the 1080p max settings, which is fine. An average on 19 FPS say that you can play this game extremely fine. you have absolutely no excuse to make your rally race without any issue. This game is a bit old, but still extremely okay for nowadays playing. Physics are still good. I don't have anything to say special on this game. I will let you enjoy the race.
Puis épingle droite. Et 40. Épingle gauche. Attention. Mur intérieur. Droite 6. Referme. Sur droite 3. Et gauche 3. Puis droite 3. Sur gauche 3. Tour. Reste au milieu. Épingle droite. Et épingle gauche. Mur intérieur. Droite 2. Sur épingle gauche. Épingle droite, 40, puis gauche 4, sur droite 4.
And then Rocket League, I will say the lightest esport game. Of course, absolutely no issue to run that, it's an extremely light game. You can run at 1440p max setting with 61 FPS of average, which is absolutely perfect. I have absolutely nothing else to say. Except that I marked this goal alone with difficulty with bots. Yeah, didn't play online. But this is not a problem to play online, it works as fine as with the bots. Watch Dogs 2014, we're starting to get a bit far from the era of the machine, but we are still on the specs for this game. We have an average of 34 FPS, which is not that bad, you will say, in 1080p medium. Well, I didn't show it on the video, but I have a 1% low frame rate on 14.6 and a 0.1% low frame rate of 4.9, which is extremely bad. You're probably seeing on the camera sometimes the game has a bit of lag, a bit of freeze. It's not unplayable for that, but it's not that cool. So I don't understand why, because the game is, as I said, on the spec. It must run just fine, but anyway. Fallout 4, compared to Watch Dogs, is not on the spec, but a game with a storyline like this one, if you are a fan of Fallout of course, is absolutely amazing. You can play it in 1080p medium, an average of 59 FPS. What else could you say? It's just fine. Maybe it's not the best gameplay ever of Fallout, but it's still extremely fun to play.
All participants, check in.
That's absurd! I am
Not on the list.
Volta.
You don't get in.
I'm going in. You can't stop me! Okay. I'm reporting this!
Not in the vault program. If you're...
We need to get in. We're on the list. Almost there. We're gonna be okay. I love you. Both of you.
We love you too.
Oh my god!
Hold on!
Can't this thing move faster?
Oh god! Oh god! Oh god!
Dying Light, another game not in the spec. We are starting to play games that are not in the spec of the machine and not on the era of the machine at all. This is a problem for Dying Light? Absolutely not. 1080p low setting now. We are starting to get graphics reduced at its minimum. But the average of 30 FPS, you've got it. You are seeing more on the screen while I'm recording this part because I was inside a building. I'm not outside on the open world. And the game is getting a bit easy to load and see pictures, that's why we got a better frame rate. But while we are playing on the open world, it's a bit worse, but still totally playable.
I was just fucking with you.
Son of a bitch!
What? You can't take a joke? Come on! Get your ass down here!
Christ on a crutch.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
It's a rush, isn't it?
Rise of the Tomb Raider, I didn't play the game, I just run the benchmark. In 1080p low, with the end of result, I've got an average of 38 FPS. Normally it should be fine to play the game without any issue. Doom 2016, so Doom 4 for purists, or simply Doom if you want to say it like this, in 1080p low, in Vulkan this time, not in OpenGL, to hope having a better result, and it's the case. We've got maybe a bit more of 5 FPS better. Got an average of 44 FPS, which is extremely okay to play the game. Okay, it's not that fun compared to a guy we have a 60 constant or 144 constant, but it's still extremely fine if the game is fun. No? I will let you enjoy that. Now time for Fortnite. You will excuse me that you all probably see that this is not the current season. I recorded that a year and a half ago, so it's a long time now. Okay, as you see, that is not the best experience gameplay ever, even if you are seeing in 1080p low an average of 38 FPS. You got an experiment freeze and lags everywhere. The game is not optimized to run on a Core 2 quad, and it's perfectly normal. But with that said, the game is running. If you want to play with your friends in private servers are smaller, maps are smaller, this should be fine. But in multiplayer, the experience is extremely bad. Dirt 4. I want to say congratulations to Codemaster to make a so well optimized game, because I can even push the graphics to 1080p mid-low, so I'm not in the lowest setting, and I experiment an average of 58 FPS, which is perfectly enough and fine to play the game without any problem and drive to rally race. Extremely good job, Codemaster, for that.
Et droite 4 en descente. 60, droite 3. Et gauche 1 en descente. Et droite 5. Sur gauche 3. Et droite 5. 100, gauche 4. Droite 6 sur crête. Droite 6 sur crête. Droite 4. Droite 4, sans couper. Et gauche 2 en descente. Sur gauche 1, 80. Droite 4 sur crête, 60. Droite 5. Gauche 5.
Call of Duty World War II. Maybe the worst game I've tried so far here, and as I said, the worst game difficulty, the most stupid I've ever seen, because enemies are just shooting to you. But anyway, if we are talking about the gameplay, well, the game is running with an average of 51 FPS in 1080p low, so it's not that hard for the engine. As you see, my friend is completely stupid, he stayed just in my range of fire. Perfect, congratulations. No, the game is playable without any issue, even without having the 60 FPS cap, just fine. Didn't try the multiplayer, but it's still probably as playable as the solo time.
All right, bunker's empty. Let's go. Move up, move up. MGs are still sweeping the beach. We gotta take them out.
Are you okay?
Thanks. I'm good.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, again, like Rise of the Tomb Raider, I didn't play the game, I just ran into the benchmark, an average of 30 FPS, just 30. Is this will be playable? Well, maybe like Rise of the Tomb Raider, the graphics are not that different, but it will not be the best experience ever, I'm pretty sure about that. But the game starts, and it's pretty cool. For the age of the machine, it's pretty cool. And of course, we can't finish without testing this game. Crysis, does it run Crysis? Of course it can, and it runs extremely good. 1440p high preset, an average of 35 FPS. Well, of course the game is starting to become a bit old and runs on low specs machine, so a quad to quad is extremely okay. The 1030 it's equivalent to a 750 Ti. Well, there is no reason that Crysis can't run. Anyway, it's still a very fun game, even more than 10 years later.
So we are more or less 1 week later, and I've replaced it with my main PC for this week because I was really curious about it to see even how it performs for daily tasking. And the last word is, this is amazing how well it works for a 13 years old PC, or 12 or 13 years old, I don't really know precisely. It's amazing to say that you can pretty do whatever you want with it. All the games, as you see, run just fine, except maybe some, but in general it's really impressive for the specs of the machine. And here I'm using it for a week with basic tasking and gaming. I restart a campaign of Fallout 4. It was really fun. I didn't finish it, of course, but it's fun. It's fun to play with it. So this is really amazing to say that this PC was boosted as this amazingly well. This is a computer I really want to have from 2017, more or less. I was seeing that on a video to introduce computers, and someone showed this model. Nothing happened with the performance of the machine or something like this. But I was impressed by the model and the conception of the computer of it. And really want, I don't know why this one especially, I really want to boost the PC at its possible limit. And I finally done it 3 years later. So it's cool. I'm happy to have this one and at this status. So I want to make some thanks about this computer. First of all, I will say thank you to Pharma Santé. This is my first student job where I've touched this computer. Honestly, yeah, this is a funny story. This computer was at an enterprise. They didn't use it anymore, and my job was to reformat all the Dells they have. It was in 2014. As you imagine. We formatted hard disk drive, totally blank, not a quick format, a low-level format. And they stay for years at the enterprise, never sold in the end. But I want to say thanks to keep somewhere the computer. I want also to say thanks to Alexandre, it will recognize himself.
to have received the computer, to buy it, and finally to resell it to me. So I want to say thank you to this guy. It's not done, but we have already talked together about it to repaint the cover in another color to make something more crazy. So I want to say thanks to Bertrand to help me to doing that. I want to say thanks also for Dell to making an exceptional machine, because there were very few machines where you can boost like this. So thanks for Dell for that. Who else I want to thank? There is other people. I can say La Taverne de Jean Jean. It will maybe recognize himself too, because this is the guy who it make me the things to check Optiplex 700 series. So it's fine and it's cool. I think I've done my best. If I miss someone, sorry for that. It will be on the description. And that's it. So I can conclude with that. Hope you liked the video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's the red button. To hit the bell to be notified for another video. And I hope I will catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everyone.